Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congressman Tom Rooney here, coming to you from Washington, D.C. to give you an update as to what happened this week in Congress. This week, the Senate made an effort to repeal and replace Obamacare, but ultimately failed, as you know. On Tuesday, the Senate passed a procedural motion to open the floor for debate on their health care bill. Following that vote, senators were able to offer amendments, which were immediately debated and voted on, a process known as the vote-a-rama. And during this process, the Senate first tried to pass the House version of the bill, and that failed. They then tried to pass a full repeal, and that failed. And finally, they tried to pass the so-called skinny repeal, and as you know, last night late, that also failed. So since Obamacare passed in 2010, I have been fundamentally against the policy that accomplished nothing other than forcing people to purchase an unaffordable product that provided very little, if any, usable health coverage. I was hopeful that we would be able to fulfill our promise to lift those mandates, our promise to ensure that no one would be denied coverage simply because they're sick, and that we would be able to move forward and continue our efforts to fix our nation's failing healthcare system. But unfortunately, due to infighting and partisan politics in the Senate, we failed. Our problem was that we have voted for the last 7 years to repeal without having really any realistic replacement that we could get behind. Not having a replacement in place is irresponsible governing. And in the end, not having a replacement just wasn't good enough. This week, the House also passed 4 appropriations bills that will provide critical funding for our nation's security. As a member of the House Appropriations Committee, I was proud to support these bills, which will fund critical military priorities, support our nation's veterans, and ensure the security of our nation's borders. This bill includes a 2.4% pay increase for our troops, critical funding for water projects throughout South Florida, and $1.6 billion to build a wall along the southern border. I am hopeful that we will take up the remaining 8 appropriations bills that we worked hard and passed out of the Appropriations Committee when we return in September to continue responsibly funding the government. Also this week, VA Secretary Shulkin notified me that the VA would not be closing the rural health clinics in Moorhaven and Clewiston. As you know, last month the VA announced that they would be closing both of these clinics. So I worked with my colleague Mario Diaz-Balart from Miami in writing a letter to Secretary Shulkin emphasizing how these closures would impact our constituents. Both of these facilities are located in rural counties designated as areas of critical need, giving the shortage of both primary and mental health care providers. The VA reversed its initial closure decision, and by keeping these clinics open, the VA is showing their commitment to our veterans and ensuring that they continue to receive the best and most convenient care. Also this week, I introduced the Citrus Act, a bipartisan bill that will help expedite economic assistance to help save our domestic citrus industry. This bill reauthorizes the Citrus Disease Research and Extension Program, which I originally authored in the 2014 Farm Bill, and provides $25 million in annual funding until a cure for citrus greening is found. The bill also authorizes the CHIRP and HLB MAC programs, which are critical in our national effort to protect the citrus industry from invasive pests. And finally, the bill expands the USDA's tree assistance program to allow more growers to invest in the replacement of diseased trees with healthy ones. And finally, this week, the House passed the Intelligence Authorization Act of 2018. This bill is necessary to support our national security programs, especially those focused on countering terrorism and cyber attacks. At a time when our nation faces major national security challenges such as North Korea, it's crucial that our intelligence professionals have the tools that they need to thwart these foreign threats. As a member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, I am proud that this legislation is moving on to the Senate, and I am confident that the President will sign it into law. I know that was a lot, but I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this message, and I hope that you and your families have a great rest of the summer.